Now, breaking news and the Tri-State's most accurate forecast. This is 9 on your side.
Almost 6:30 on this Saturday, October 4th. Good morning, Tri-State. Thanks for waking up with us. I'm Mario Ramirez.
And I'm meteorologist Chuck Gillespie, and I need some gloves. It's chilly in here and chilly outside.
It's a cold morning, depending who you ask. It's cold to me, and
Yes.
you as well, yeah.
Cold to me. You're a very warm person, but I'm cold.
Yeah, 44
You know how that
degrees is
goes.
cold.
Yeah, it's chilly outside. Let's take a look at our 9 first morning weather, and you can see our temperatures. We've looked downtown. In the dark, 45 right now, and chilly. And that's going to stay that way for most of the morning. Temperatures really don't rise quickly at all. It's not like other mornings we've been here last week, the week before that, where if we're in the 40s, boom, the next hour we're in the 50s, and then we're heading up. It's a very slow crawl to get to like 53 for our high temperature today. That's the best we'll do. Our Doppler is dry except for a little bit of light moisture that's just about completely evaporated that had moved through the area overnight. It was the last remnant of the rain showers we got late last evening, about 10 p.m., that moved through in a line of showers. So we're dry, and we'll probably then stay dry all day long, but very, very chilly. And with a breeze, these temperatures will feel much colder than this. Partly cloudy conditions right on in and through the morning hours, but we never hit 50 by noon, and we barely hit it until later this afternoon. More on our chilly day and what tomorrow looks like coming up, Mario.
All right, we'll check back with you in just a little bit. In the meantime, this morning, volunteers cleaning up a northern Kentucky cemetery damaged by vandals. Not on your side, reporter Shannon Kettler live in Dayton, Kentucky with this morning's plan and how you can help catch those responsible.
That's right, Mario. With St. Francis, it's a historic cemetery here in Dayton, Kentucky, and volunteers today want to clean up the mess created by these vandals. Back in July, police released surveillance pictures of a group of young people they say are responsible. The cemetery is located off the beaten path. It's in a remote area alongside railroad tracks off Mary Ingalls Highway. We're told this group of people tore down the flagpole and burned the flags. No arrests were ever made. Volunteers say the cemetery, not a place to party, but a place for folks to pay their respects to their loved ones. They hope by this cleanup today, they get the word out that the arrests were never made. They're also hoping if folks want to join, they are welcome to. Their cleanup gets underway at 9 a.m. Reporting live here in Dayton, I'm Shannon Kettler, 9 on your side.
All right, Shannon, thanks. Breaking overnight news now. Tensions continue to rise in Hong Kong. Pro-democracy protesters clashing with others upset about the demonstrations. You can see a lot of the tension there. At least 12 people, including 6 police officers, were hurt in the scuffles. The violence came after pro-democracy protest leaders called off planned talks with the government on political reform there. And a lot of news now in the Lincoln Heights Police Department case. Over the last couple of days, our I-team has been on top of all the recent allegations. Not on your side, Chief Investigator Brendan Keefe uncovered a confidential payout to citizens tasered and arrested improperly by Lincoln Heights police officers. Take a look.
We poured through nearly 2,000 documents, some of them confidential, to discover some of the convicted criminals in Lincoln Heights were wearing a uniform and a badge. You're about to hear a secret recording of an arrest made by one resident so afraid of the police, he carried a hidden camera.
I realized now I walked into a trap. It stopped me in the back after. I just can't believe it.
Michael Glover was arrested in Lincoln Heights, a village of 4,000 residents and 17 police officers, including Officer Angela Taylor.
The officer, ma'am, remember me? And before I could say another word, Taylor was charging me, and she had a gun in her hand. And I'm looking down, staring down the barrel of the gun, and I'm just frozen like a deer in headlights.
And it started with headlights. An internal affairs report shows the incident was, quote, caused by Officer Taylor's patrol vehicle operating on high beam status.
The lights were so unusually bright that I could not see in front of me. And I pulled over, and they passed, and then they worked themselves back around me again. and ran me off again.
The internal affairs report shows Mr. Glover decided to walk away and re-enter his vehicle. He never made it. Officer Taylor should have used her training to de-escalate the situation. When he attempted to leave, she did not have enough reasons to detain him. Instead, she called for backup.
Stomped me in the back, full force, right over the screws that holding my spine together.
Reviewing the audio recording, the I-Team counted 29 times when Glover either told the officers he didn't do anything or asked why he was being handcuffed and tasered.
Did you calm down? Tell me what I did. What did I do? I showed up. So what did I do? I'll find out.
When they finally rolled him over, there was a magazine full of bullets on the ground.
Go ahead and move around. Take my bag.
The magazine?
Yeah.
He's got his bullets. He's got a gun. You know, when you say that around police officers, that's pretty much death right there.
The bullets belonged to the only convicted criminal at the scene. Not Glover. He was unarmed, and the charges of disorderly conduct and resisting arrest were dismissed. The bullets had been dropped by Sergeant Leroy Smith. The officer was convicted in 1996 for falsification, then violated his probation.
Within the last 2 years, there's been some very trying times for my department.
Chief Conroy Chance had promoted Smith to his second in command, but demoted and fired him this year. After a sting operation by sheriff's investigators, Sergeant Smith was arrested for felony theft while on duty.
Is it fair to say that there are some hires that occurred before your tenure that were questionable hires or maybe shouldn't have been made in the first place?
Yes, and now we're actually paying the cost of those decisions that were made back then.
Literally paying $240,000 in this confidential settlement with other residents who were beaten and arrested by police in 2008 on charges that didn't stick.
The officer came back and he tased me from behind. We are living in a sick place when we let guys like this become officers.
That's what high school science teacher William Franklin and former Vice Mayor Gary Brown said before they sued the police department. In return for cash settlements, both men signed non-disparagement agreements promising not to in any way criticize the village of Lincoln Heights to anyone, including the news media.
Officer Maddox, Officer Smack, and Officer Caps beat me while I had my handcuffs on.
Those officers are still on the force. Officer Stephen Maddox had been a Cincinnati police officer but was fired in 2005 when he was convicted of sexual imposition for groping a woman while on duty. Officer Philip Capps was fired by Lincoln Heights in 2001, then rehired. Since then, he's been written up for a pattern of behavior flirting with female drivers and issuing bogus citations when they didn't respond to, quote, his flirtatious advances. Capps was required to quit 5 biker gangs, including the Made Men and the Ground Assassins, after he showed up during a jury trial in uniform to support a fellow biker charged with a felony.
Corruption. It is embedded in Lincoln Heights.
Marcus Simpson has been vocal in lodging complaints against the police department. He joined Michael Glover's lawsuit against Lincoln Heights when he too was arrested on charges that were later dismissed.
They need a house cleaning. The only way you can get rid of the cancer is to cut it out. All of it. You can't leave any of it because it will fester and regrow. What we have here is a cancer.
Despite these detailed internal investigations, many reprimanded officers didn't get fired, they got promoted. Officer Angela Taylor was an unpaid auxiliary officer when she confronted Michael Glover. She was promoted to a paid officer after she was written up for inviting a male officer into her dressing room with the phrase, "Come on in, I'm naked." Tonight, Taylor is the department's detective in charge of investigations. Brendan Keefe, 9 on your side.
Heavy smoke billowing from the Flight 93 Memorial in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. This morning, it looks like some of the 9/11 artifacts have been destroyed there. The fire also destroyed 3 administrative buildings. No one was hurt, that's the good news, but about 10% of the artifacts were in those buildings, some inside of fireproof cases. And it's good news for America. Why now is the perfect time to apply for a job?
Stop